we take what we think or hear often at face value and we run with it. We don't go, well, what if this doesn't work? Okay, stop. What if it does? Let's explore both of those, not just the, oh no, what if it doesn't work? And then we're not going to get the project, and then we're not going to get the funding, and then we're going to lose our jobs, and then and it can just spiral. And it can happen with the simplest of things or big things. So my goal, my passion became to help people figure out how to manage that conversation in their own head so that they gave themselves a chance to see the opportunities, not just the roadblocks. Because the moment you know how to do that and you start doing that, your results change almost instantly.
You are now listening to the podcast where authors inspire listeners to become authors, the Going North Podcast. I'm your host, certified self-leadership trainer, best-selling author, and book enthusiast, DomBrightmon. And you're going to be listening to a different author that will inspire you to join the business of immortality, known as authorship. Now let the fun begin. Today's episode is sponsored by both books, Going North, Tips and Techniques to Advance Yourself, and the follow-up bestseller, Stay the Course, The Elite Performer's 7 Secret Keys to Sustainable Success. Head over to Amazon.com, pick up both books. They are available in a trifecta of paperback, audio, and ebook. Cop all three of both and be on the lookout for another book from yours truly to help podcasters succeed. Now let's get on with today's episode. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as the Going North Podcast, we got another super special, awesome human for you today, courtesy of Podmatch.com, the wonderful site where podcast guests get to connect with podcast hosts. And if they're cool, they're freaking in. And today's guest is cooler than 2 cucumbers indeed. That's right, indeed. Let me tell you a bit about her, because today's featured author, baby, that's right, indeed. She's a mom, she's a wife, so she's already off the market and she's already got offspring dominating Earth, because she's also a professional speaker, award-winning journalist, confidence coach, a wonderful confidence coach, as well as a self-talk ninja trademark. So let's give it up for the radiant and stupendous Robin Sachs. How you doing today, Robin?
I'm doing well, Dom. Thanks for the invite to share. How are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. It's
Good.
a post-hump day when we're recording this, so just enjoying the remnants of the camel hump that we escaped. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. You really want to throw people off, tell them it's post-hump day. They're like, oh, wait, what? It's hump day. No. Yeah, that was yesterday, a.k.a. post.
Sorry, they all run together at some point these days, so that's the good thing.
That's right, indeed. Especially when they got their Nikes on. But hey, it ain't about camels, fence posts, and Nikes. All about the wonderful Robin. So my goodness, as with all introductions, they're not allowed to be 197.18 days long. And since I probably only covered, I don't know, maybe 0.18% of what Robin does, mind filling in listeners about who is the wonderful Robin since it's your first time on the show?
Boy, I could make this long or short. I'm going to make it pretty short. You ready, Dom? You ready,
We'll
Dom?
see.
You want to take it or you want me to take it? You tell me.
Yo, let's see where this ends up.
Yeah, in a nutshell, I am someone who has always been a personal development junkie, self-proclaimed. Because of that, I benefited from some of the stuff that I learned over the years. And I started to realize at some point that people would come to me and ask for, how do I look at this differently? You know, how do you always look at things in a positive way? You know, can you give me the other side of something I'm struggling with? And I started to realize at some point that not everybody thinks that way. And where that sort of led me was to really helping people, one, learn to manage the conversation in their own head so that it was more of a supportive friend than a critical bully. And that alone is a game changer. One of the places in my life that I really started honing this was I worked in television news for 6 years before I came to my senses and ran screaming from that industry. by choice, but learned a ton, met a ton of people. And toward the end of my journey, because I was on air where I was often asked to, for example, MC an event in the area, that sort of thing. And one of the things I would do, I think mostly to keep my own sanity at a certain point, was I would tell people, hey, let me tell you some secrets about news. Don't listen to what they're saying. Listen to what they're not saying, because there's no judgment, just awareness. Pick your poison. Any news organization or channel can fit into this. I'm going to make a point to give you information that gets you to a certain point, either a reaction, either a response. I may have the whole story, but I'm only going to give you part of the story. There's a whole psychology to it. And the way that that translates into our everyday life is we don't give ourselves the whole story. We always give ourselves half the story. So, for example, on a newscast, that might look like the weather forecaster is always going to tell you there's a 20% chance of rain. That forecaster will never say there's an 80% chance of sun. He'll always say it's partly cloudy. But guess what? If it's partly cloudy, it has to be partly sunny, right? If there's a 10% whatever rate, that means there's a 90% whatever rate that's the opposite. So we very much get almost trained, because we're surrounded by it all the time, to look at half the story and run with it. And the way that shows up in our everyday life is the moment I have a thought, oh no, I can't do this, or I'm really bad at this. Oh my goodness, why would they pick me? I'm not even going to apply for that job because I don't have all the skills. We don't give ourselves the other side of the story. And what happens is that self-talk voice in our head is constantly telling you what you might not be able to do, what could go wrong, and even sometimes what is going wrong, even when nothing's going wrong. But it almost never says, hey, buck up, you're good at this, you do this all the time, you say you're not good at it, but you've done it for the last 3 years, every week of your job, just stop talking and go do it. Stop believing everything you think, because we get in our way more than anyone else or anything else gets in our way. And so my passion really became, because when I would talk that way to an audience or put that out there, people would come up afterwards and say, I never thought about that, but that's true. We take what we think or hear often at face value and we run with it. We don't go, well, what if this doesn't work? Okay, stop. What if it does? Let's explore both of those, not just the, oh no, what if it doesn't work? And then we're not going to get the project, and then we're not going to get the funding, and then we're going to lose our jobs, and then and it can just spiral. And it can happen with the simplest of things or big things. So my goal, my passion became to help people figure out how to manage that conversation in their own head so that they gave themselves a chance to see the opportunities, not just the roadblocks. Because the moment you know how to do that and you start doing that, your results change almost instantly. When you replace a positive thought, a negative thought with a positive thought, you begin to get positive results. You begin to take action. You begin to move forward. You're not just stuck in the place of thinking about it and talking about it and thinking about it some more. And you can actually go do. And that's when the magic happens. And I could talk about this stuff for days, Dom. So I'm going to stop for a moment and have you point and aim you where we think we should go at this point.
No, don't worry. It all goes north. Definitely all goes north indeed, regardless. That's right, indeed. Even if you feel like you're going south, it's called south north.
That's right. Keep going south. You'll come around the other end. You'll go north again at some point. You will. I promise.
Right, indeed. It's definitely interesting too. You coming from that field and then having a good old six pack of years there, and then it's like, oh god, they're trying to destroy my mind. Let me get out of here. No, they're gonna make me crash the bus. No, and it's like, all right, cool. Good old professional and self development. It's like, yeah, guinea pig mode. And it's like, oh no, forget guinea pig mode. It's time to do the stuff and write a book. So my Goodness, you're able to take some of your wonderful life experience and really put it in a magical book a little while ago called Get Off My Bus, How to Get Clarity, Get in the Driver's Seat and Get Moving in Your Life. So my goodness, so what inspired you to join the business of immortality?
Really simple. After I left the news industry, I figured let me get in front of every audience I could and just start talking about this stuff. And it will tell me what it looks like. It'll tell me what people are seeking, what they're looking for, what they care about, what they don't care about. And so for about a year, I got in front of every audience I possibly could. And about a year into it, somebody called and said, hey, somebody heard your talk and we have a conference coming up in Atlanta next year. Would you come and be one of our speakers? What do you charge? And my first thought was, I have no idea. Wait, what? Wait, this can be a business? Wait, people actually value this enough to pay for it? Because aren't we always the last ones to value what we offer, what we have to share? Other people see that value long before us. And that started the career, 17, 18 years now of what I do as a speaker, trainer, coach. And the book came about a few years actually into speaking. And I realized that after every talk, people would come up and say, oh my goodness, this is resonating with me. I never thought about this. That changes things for me. What now? And I noticed I was suggesting a lot of other people's books and things like that. And at some point I went, wait a minute. With personal development, professional development of any kind, there's like 5 things. Nobody's talking about different things. It's really simple. It comes down to the same very basic foundational things that Aristotle was talking about way back then, that Tony Robbins was talking about in the 80s and 90s, that the Marie Folios and everybody in the world is talking about today. There's nothing new or different. There are different ways to say it. There are different ways to think about it and look at it, which is why 1,000 people can say the same thing, but it sounds very different to people. So find people that their words and the way they're explaining things resonate with you. But I realized my words and my approach was what was resonating in those talks. And I thought, okay, first of all, I'm missing a business opportunity to put it in writing and have it as something as a revenue generator for my business. And 2, from the human aspect, I'm kind of doing a disservice to these people if my words just resonated, but then I kind of leave them hanging and I don't give them something else to continue or dig a little deeper with. And so Get Off My Bus basically became, let me sit down and put together a bunch of the stuff I talk about. Because every time I got up and spoke, whether it was a keynote or a workshop, I was speaking a book. If you're a speaker, every time you get up and you speak your stuff, you're speaking a book. And so put that down, put that together. And that's how Get Off My Bus came about.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about indeed. That's what I'm talking about indeed. So my goodness, so since you're the self-talking ninja, I'm pretty sure you had to deal with your own self-talk in the process of writing the book. So what was it like having to finally get to hit the publish button to finally get through that journey? It's like, hey, it's finally here. I see my name on the book. I'm the world champion.
You know what? It was, whether it was hitting publish on the book or kind of hitting publish, so to speak, on anything in life, the self-talk thing is kind of the same. We will often keep saying things to ourselves like, I'm not ready yet. Hold on, let me do one more thing, right? Let me read one more book. Let me write one more chapter. Let me edit it one more time. Let me give it to one person one time, right? Let me take one more class. Let me talk to one more person. As human beings, we often tend, again, to stop ourselves. And our worries are, of course, well, what if it's not perfect? Well, the answer to that is it's never perfect. So just stop. It's good enough. And good enough is great sometimes because, again, something like this, I wasn't writing it for me. I was writing it for people who might pick it up and look at it and go, I needed to hear that today. I needed to be reminded of that today. I needed to see that today, or I never thought about it that way. That helps me. And so, hitting publish on anything really in life, if you think about the analogy, it's not about you. It's not for you. If you're literally putting something out into the world, I hope it's not for you. It better be for other people. That's the whole point of putting things out. If it's for you, keep it to yourself. If you're putting it out there, it's for other people. And part of course, the self-talk challenge with that is, well, what if people don't like it? What if I get a bad review? What if somebody says something about it and like, oh, this isn't that good or whatever? I've heard this before. Well, I didn't write it for those people, did I? I didn't. So that doesn't bother me. It's the people who say thank you. I never realized that I was able to put some boundaries in my life and that would help me because I was just giving all my energy to everybody. I never realized I could say no in a really good, powerful way that people go thank you instead of having to say yes to everyone and everything because I feel like I should. I'm a people pleaser. All of those people that say, thank you for that tip. Those are the people I wrote it for. So part of that self-talk shift in life is if someone doesn't like what you're saying, if they don't agree with you, that's fine. I'm not putting my stuff out there for you. And I'm going to listen. You might have a different approach or opinion and good for you. We can agree to disagree, or you might teach me something, right? I might teach you something, who knows? But I didn't publish my stuff for that person. So that's okay. So if we switch our focus back to the people that we're serving or the people that we want to be interacting with because it's helping them, that shift to those people, shifting your focus off of the things that are bringing stress and shift back over to the things that are giving you energy. That's something you have control over. You don't have to get stuck in the stress. You know where you get your stress. You know where you get your energy. If you're spending too much time over where you get your stress, know that you can switch over here. You can just refocus sometimes. And sometimes it'll change your energy instantly. But we get caught in the stress sometimes. And, as a confidence coach, the problem with that is if you think of stress and confidence as sort of a seesaw, stress is on one end, confidence is on the other. What happens naturally is when your stress goes up, your confidence naturally comes down. But when your confidence goes up, your stress naturally goes down. And so a lot of people, we focus so much on stress management. My stress is high. How do I manage the stress and bring it down? When sometimes if your stress is high, don't worry about the stress or the management of it. I want you to focus on the confidence and go, what can I go do right now that'll bring my confidence up a little bit? Because that'll naturally bring my stress down. And so if I'm focused on stuff that's bringing me stress, I'm going to be stressed. And I'm not going to manage it if I'm staying there focusing on it. That's not managing it, right? But if I come over to this side and go, all right, how can I feel better right now? What do I need to do to raise confidence a little? Let me go over here and do something that's going to right that a bit. That's an option too. So sometimes it's a matter of stepping back and going, what am I choosing right now? Because confident people aren't in control of the situation all the time. Good luck with that. Confident people aren't in control of the other people in the room. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Confident people are in control of themselves. And when you start to learn, how can I just get myself back in a place where I'm in a place of choice? All of a sudden you're in a lot more control than you felt 10 seconds ago before you did that.
That's what I'm talking about, indeed. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. And I love that analogy and I love that tip because it's so freaking powerful. Because I've heard before and I read somewhere in the book, it's like, hey, sometimes you focus so much on like trying to make our weaknesses better. It's like, hey, make sure we instead try to focus on our strengths and make them as strong as possible so the weaknesses don't matter. And that even goes for confidence too. It's like, hey, you know what? Maybe focus on what you can do well. What brings you confidence? What makes you walk up with your chest stuffed high? Maybe peacock, maybe even full peacock, even be like, hey, how can I strengthen my confidence as opposed to focusing on the bad stuff that'll stress you out to high heaven where you see your whole life flash before your eyes in Japanese kanji and your hair turns blue. It's like, nah, focus on confidence.
Yeah. And you know what? I can always get a little better with my weaknesses, but my weaknesses, if they're true weaknesses, are never going to be my strengths. So don't spend a ton of time on them. Your weaknesses will never be the strengths that your strengths already are. So hone your strengths and improve your weaknesses so that they're not getting in the way. I think that that's the balance, because, if I'm the A student in something and the D student in something else, what I'm a D student in, I'm okay getting to be a C student in. And guess what? If I need that thing for something, trust me, there are a ton of A students in that out there that I can go collaborate with. I can hire, I can ask their advice for. And they were probably C students in the things I'm A students in. So, wow, that's how networking and collaboration works. You don't have to be good at everything. You will never be good at everything. So don't ever try. Make sure your weaknesses are improved to the point where they don't become a distraction or get in the way and pull you down. But focus, I'm a big fan, focus up on those strengths, because that's what you already do well. And you've got to put the emphasis on what you do well. Don't worry about what you don't do well, because other people do that really well. You don't need to compete with them. You can befriend them and use them and get advice and learn from them, and again, or hire them or connect with them, or collaborate with them. That's the whole point, right? And that's actually part of the get off my bus analogy. Is the analogy of the book is, we're all born and we're bus drivers, and we each have our own bus that we drive through our lives. And as we drive our bus through our lives, people are constantly getting on our bus, they're getting off of our bus, they're moving up, they're moving back. Some people go on and off and on several times. Some people come on for a moment and then they're done. Some people come on for a lifetime, right? And they're there. But the thing is anytime in life you feel stuck, there are 5 questions that you can ask yourself and answer about your bus that will get you some quick clarity. First question is, who's driving your bus? Are you still in the driver's seat, or did you get up and somebody else sat down? Did someone else take the wheel of your bus? So number 1, who's driving your bus? Number 2, if you look at any city bus, what's right across the top of the bus? It's the destination, right? Where are you going? What are you trying to do? Where are you trying to go? If you don't have some clarity on that, you don't have to have the perfect end goal in mind, but you got to have a sense of what direction you're headed. What am I trying to do? If not, you're not going to know where to go. You're never going to hit the gas pedal and move towards it. So where are you going? The third question is, turn around and look at your passengers and ask yourself, who needs to get off your bus? And often when I ask that question, a name or face comes to everybody's mind. We all have those people. It's not that they're awful people, right? They could be family members, friends, they could be colleagues, they could be people we truly like, but they bring things to the mix, whether they're the naysayers, right? That'll never work. You'll never be able to do that, right? They're that type of person. They're people pleasers, so they never give you the truth, because they're always going, sure, yeah, do it, that's great, yeah. And that's not helpful at all, right? Or they're people that bring you more stress than energy. And again, we know where we get our stress, we know where we get our energy. So who needs to get off your bus? And sometimes you need to slam on the brakes and open the door and throw someone off your bus, right? Sometimes you need to do that. But you don't always have to do it to that extent. Sometimes people feel like they're right up against that driver's seat, right behind you, because we're so hyper-focused on them, right? We're always bringing them up. Do you know what she said? Do you know what he did? Do you know? And we're always pulling them right up, where if we just refocused off of them, shook our head, laughed, and went, yep, and let them just drift back a few seats, they can still stay on the bus, but they can be back here instead of right up with you all the time. So sometimes we bring that ourselves. It's not always that they're hovering. It's we can't get them out of our head to stop talking about them and complaining about them. Well, that's you. So that's something we can change. The fourth question is, who needs to get on your bus? And again, when you stop and start to get some clarity on what are you trying to do? Where are you trying to go? what do you need? You don't have to always be the one to go out and do that. Right? When I work with entrepreneurs, and one of the first things so many of them say, and I'm one myself, right? What do we all say? Oh, I'm wearing so many hats. And my first question is, why are you wearing so many hats? Why don't you pick the one or two, maybe three things you do better than anyone else and focus on that, and go get other people that can do those other things you don't need to be spending your time and energy on. So why do we wear so many hats? Who do I need to bring on my bus? And again, sometimes that might be, do I need to hire someone to do something, or bring a third party in? Sometimes it's not about paying people. It's about, who can I have some discussions with that we can trade some things? I know everyone knows something you don't. Have more conversations. Be a learner. Be a listener. Sometimes it can be collaborations. Right? It used to be, right, pre-pandemic, it was hey, let's go to Panera for a coffee. And, sometimes those were of value. Sometimes it was just the thing to check off the list from a networking event, right? And it didn't really bring much, and that's okay. Be intentional about having conversations with people where there's nothing that's expected on either side. You're just sharing some information, being of value to one another. No expectation that we're going to do business together, that we're going to work together, that one of us is going to pay the other. It's where you share value. Here are some things I know or have learned. Here are some things I know and have learned. It's amazing how much we can gather by simply having conversations and listening more. So who needs to get on your bus? The fifth question is sometimes the most important. Whose bus do you need to get off of? Because we have stepped on a bunch of people's buses in our lives. And some of those buses we're going to be on forever, and that's a great thing. Some of those buses will be on, and sometimes it's challenging, but it's worth staying on. And some of those buses may have made sense a year and a half ago to be on, or 5 years ago to be on, but they don't make sense anymore with where I am now. It's okay to step away, because as humans, we only have so much ability to be on a certain number of buses. And if another bus comes along that you want to step on, you're going to have to step off of another one perhaps to get onto that one to help you keep going forward. So really starting to pay attention to, if I open my calendar, right, or look on my Google Calendar and I see something that's there every month as a meeting, and my response is, oh, that again? It's time to get off that bus. It's not bringing value to you, or you're not bringing value to it, right? If you said yes to something and you're in a position, you went onto a board or a volunteer thing or something, and at one point that was something you truly had the time and energy and passion for, but it's not there anymore, that's okay. Step away, and please let someone with that energy now come in, because you're doing a disservice by staying. If you're not able to show up and give your best to it, let somebody else now come and give their best to it. So it's okay to step away or step off of buses. As a matter of fact, it's imperative. If you don't do it, you will end up burning out. You will end up having stress that just rides with you every single week. It's a constant. And in the end, it is our choice. And so that confidence of going, I'm going to say no to this because I would do a disservice to say yes, because I can't give it the time, the energy, the passion about it. I want you to find somebody that can. Maybe I can help you identify somebody. But I'm not going to do you the disservice by stepping in or staying in someplace when I'm not the best person to be there. That makes no sense. So I just made it about you, not about me. And that's part of confidence, is nothing's about you, right? Sometimes we think I have to do this or I have to stay somewhere because I'm helping this person, when in reality, they're all thinking, oh my goodness, would you just step away? All right. Because we can see when we're done with things. We can see when we're not bringing value, or it's not bringing value to us. And part of confidence is going, this doesn't make sense anymore. And that's okay. This allows somebody else to come in. And that's pretty amazing. That's how we help others grow. That's how we bring new ideas into the mix. That's how you move north, right? That's how you move forward constantly. You can't do it by staying in the same place.
Ah, so I'm talking about indeed. Five powerful questions indeed. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Got to make sure the right people are on your bus. That's right indeed. Sometimes you got to wonder, hey, why did I trust myself driving the bus to stay over there while I'm on someone else's bus? I need to get back on the bus before it self drives into a ditch.
Right? It's so true.
That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So my goodness, so for those who need to get off the bus, my goodness, like so how did that question pop up for you about the bus? Like what was the main thing that led to that powerful question? Because there's some folks who probably like, man, after this pandemic, I realized, oh wow, so this is person who should stay on the bus. Oh, this person needs to get off the bus. Like what happened for you that helps you realize, you know what, that's a question that folks need to ask themselves.
I- the way that that came up was not necessarily for me personally. It was me listening and paying attention to other people as I was starting my journey. And something I heard over and over and over and over and over and over again was there was somebody or something that people were complaining about. You know, if I just had a better boss, I would be better at my job. If I just had a different job, I would be happier. If this person stopped driving me crazy, I would be more calm and less stressed. And I noticed that it was always about someone else. And rarely is the first place people go, you know what? I've made a choice that I probably need to make a different choice because that would fix things for me. And so our default isn't to just take control for ourselves. It's to look outside and say, this person, this thing, this job, this life situation is what's creating everything in my life. And I saw two opportunities there because that's very human. We all do that. And again, no judgment, just awareness. Two things popped up to me for that. One, other people can do and say things, but ultimately, I get to choose what I'm going to do with my life. And there are things I can look for to go in a slightly different direction. If I keep driving my bus down this street, I'm going to keep getting the same thing I'm getting. At some point, if I know that, I can go, I need to turn at some point to change that. I might not know exactly where yet. I might not know, should I go left or right? But I know that if I stay on this street driving straight, I'm not going to change anything. And so maybe I just take a turn and start to see where it leads me, because I'm instantly going to start to see different things if I'm being aware and present and in the moment. I might go have a conversation with somebody who's not on, not in that direction. Let me just go have a conversation with somebody, or let me go read a book of somebody who was where I am. And what did they do to make a turn and go somewhere else? The beauty of having so much information available to us is, my goodness, you can read so many biographies and autobiographies and read people's blogs or go on YouTube and watch their videos where they're sharing honest, true things about their lives, genuine stuff. Not, I'm pitching you. Here, you can make $1 million next month by doing this. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is, I was here. This was the situation for real in my life. And here's what I learned. If I did this, it moved me a little bit this way. If I did this, it moved me here. And over time, here's what I did to get from A to B. Those stories, those examples, those quick hits teach you tons. And as long as we're not in our heads going, well, that's somebody else, that's not me, I can't do that, that's not how my brain works. Oh, yeah, but they had to have something else that was good. No, just trust in processes and know that there's a way to get from A to B, and sometimes from B to C and C to D and D to E, and it's not just A to B. But in order to do that, I have to be willing to look at things in a different way than I'm currently looking at them. That's the key. And so I realized if I could start kind of asking people, boy, this never works. This person is always it. This person is always this. They're getting in the way. I can't do anything. Okay, so let's say I had a magic wand and I said poof, and that person was no longer in your life. So tell me, what would you do tomorrow? And they go, well, I don't know. Okay, so that's the key. You're so busy talking about getting this person out of the way because you're saying they're a roadblock and that's all they are. Here, I just took them away. Now tell me what's next. And they have no clue. And so then what we can start doing is going, okay, let's start figuring out what would you do? Because even while that person's still in your life, you can start doing some of those things. And that's what's going to help move you. And that's the key. So we get so focused on being stuck or complaining or just paying so much attention to things that we think are the roadblocks that we never take the action that gets us somewhere else. So that was one thing. And I wanted to help people see that, to go, fine, take that out of your life. What are you going to do? And they don't know. Well, let's put a plan together, because that's the only way you're going to be able to move. That person being in your life or not doesn't matter. That doesn't make the difference. And as soon as you can separate yourself from that thought and go, I can take some control and start doing little things, it doesn't matter. That person's naturally going to start drifting back on your bus by what you do, not what they do. And that was a huge thing. So that was the main thing that we always like to say, it's someone else or something else. You got to take control back. You have got to take your power back and go, no, it's not everyone else and everything else. I can make some choices and I can go do stuff. I can learn something. I can take a little action. I can try something. I can go talk to people. I can sit at home and read stuff on my computer or watch videos. I can actually learn how to do that. The key then is go do it. Start going and doing it. Do something, because you can't think your way to things. You can't talk your way to things. You got to do your way to things. And that's that action piece. That was the biggie, is I was listening to people and they were all saying the same things, because that's what we do as humans. And part of the confidence coach thing was I wanted to help people be able to know that's, in some situations, that's a serious burden, depending on the situation, depending on the person, the people, the job. It's not just like you can go, oh, well, here, just leave. That's you can't do that sometimes. Sometimes you can, because we've made a situation this big in our head, but really it's actually this big. And it's like, just step over here. Oh, okay. That was easy. Sometimes there's a lot more involved. Sometimes it is pretty simple. But until we start thinking about that and going, let's get out of our head and actually see in reality what we're dealing with. And what do we need to do in that particular situation with that reality? What is one thing I can go do? And all of a sudden, that builds confidence, because anytime we do things, we build confidence. When we spend too much time in our heads, we push confidence way down, because we're always questioning ourselves, second guessing ourselves, doubting ourselves, telling ourselves what could go wrong, why that's not going to work. It's that negative self-talk voice that just, it pushes your confidence to the ground. So as soon as you start looking at the possibilities, your confidence goes, ooh, I can do that. I can't do this right now, but I can do that. That's easy. Yeah, we can do that. As soon as you do it, your confidence just grew. Because when we do things, our confidence grows. Because now we go, that wasn't as bad as I thought. I can do that again. And then you can check your data. You can't say you can't do that anymore because you already did. So check your data. You can't tell yourself the lies anymore if you've already done it and accomplished something. So there's a lot going on there. But the main thing was, who needs to get off your bus? That's your choice. And we don't always look at it that way.
That's what I'm talking about indeed. That's what I'm talking about indeed. Love what you said there. You can't talk yourself into things, but you can definitely do yourself into things. It's like, hey, do the do, y'all. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. When there's mountains
Yeah,
involved, do the do.
you mentioned Nike right at the beginning. Just do it. Just do it. Stop thinking about doing it. Stop talking about doing it. Just do it. Then you'll know. You don't have to guess anymore or wonder or worry or think more about it, which causes so much of our stress and anxiety and overwhelm and fear and all of those things. So much of that, when there's a true threat to our safety, that's one thing. But when there's only a threat to your self-esteem, that's something totally different. And we self-create a lot of our stress, a lot of our anxiety, a lot of our worry, our overwhelm, our fear, whatever word you want to throw in there. We make up the story in our head and then we believe it and we keep replaying it instead of going, okay, so what is that even real? No, it's not. Okay, then what am I going to go do? Let me just go do something instead of telling myself the horror story that's creating a lot of those emotions. It's a
That's right,
perspective shift.
indeed. That's right, indeed. Definitely got to shift that perspective, indeed. It's like, hey, I've been eating waffles all my life and I have no idea what pancakes are. It's like, hey, oh, wait, there's more to life than waffles? Wait, there's French toast too? Oh, my freaking goodness. Like, my goodness, indeed. Shift that perspective, indeed. That's right, indeed. Life doesn't have to be full of holes like a waffle, it can be a flat surface. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. If you're a flat earther, it can be a flat earth lifestyle.
That's right. But if you are, then you can't go south and end up north again. So, oh well.
That's right,
That's a
indeed.
choice.
That's right, indeed. And then, and if they gather enough people, they'll spin folks around and then they'll push them to the edge. And then it'll be all over. And then they wake up and realize, oh, it was just a bad dream. Just a bad dream indeed. So, my goodness, my goodness. So, since you've been on a boatload of interviews promoting the good work you're doing to help out others on the magical globe, is there a question that you wish folks would ask you more often when you're being interviewed?
What a great question, Dom. Hmm. I'm going to be honest. Stuff doesn't necessarily pop to mind. If I had to say one thing, I would say, what is the one tool that will instantly change things for people that they can put into play immediately to help them be more confident and less stressed? Because we can talk about this stuff all the time, but you know what? Give me one tool. Give me one thing to do that everyone can walk out and do.
Ah, so where's the shuriken at? I know you're a self-talk ninja. So what's that tool? Where's the shuriken at? For the folks listening.
All right, I'm going to give you, so again, there's a ton of them, but if you do nothing more, this is going to sound so ridiculously simple. If you are looking to have some less stress and a little more confidence, right? One thing to do. First of all, sit back in your chair and take a breath. It sounds so ridiculously simple, but here's why that's so important. Did you notice you had to sit back, right? I had to sit back. As soon as I said that, if anybody was listening to this and sitting, if you sat back when I said sit back, you had to sit back. The reason is we're always up. And what's happening is anytime we're holding ourselves up off the back of the chair, for example, you have to create tension. You got tension in your shoulders, your hips, your back. We have to create tension in our body to pull us forward. But we're almost always up like this. And what happens is anytime there's tension anywhere in your body, your brain starts going, why are we tense? What's going on? Is there danger? Is there a problem? And it starts to raise stress levels so that it's ready to kick into fight or flight if it needs to do that. And so we naturally, even by the way we sit, we're creating a state of stress. If you sit back and just let the chair do all the work, feel your tailbone, your back against the chair, you instantly release tension and your brain goes, oh, we're good. And it brings the stress levels down. It's why we call it stress management, not stress elimination. When our stress levels are too high, they take over. And now we're not in control anymore. All we have to do is do a couple things that can bring our stress levels down to being manageable. My stress is very manageable when it's here. When it's here, it's taking control. Here, it's manageable. We don't need to get rid of it. If you got rid of your stress, you'd be a really boring, non-productive person. Because stress sometimes means you care, you're passionate, you have a deadline, you want to accomplish things. There's a very positive side to stress. The problem is we're most familiar with stress being up here and taking over. That's when it's not helpful. That's when it starts to cause problems. Here, it's wonderful. You can develop a great working relationship with your stress right here. So, as silly as it sounds, sitting back when you're starting to feel stressed will instantly start to distress you. The difference between reacting and responding is one breath. Sit back, take a breath, and then go do what you need to do. You will be amazed. And I'll give you an example of how that plays out in real life. Let's say you're driving down the street and you're on the highway, let's say, and everything's fine, you're in a good mood, and someone cuts you off and you have to slam on your brakes. At that moment in time, you can either react or respond. There are no other things you can do. So reacting looks like this. You slam on your brakes, and of course we do what? We yell and we gesture and we whatever, and we have to pull up next to the person just to like stare at them. We get so worked up so fast. And what happens is you just kicked yourself into fight or flight. And now the adrenaline is running through your body, the cortisol is running through your body, your breathing is way up here, you're mad, your brain isn't thinking because it shut down logical thought, which is one of the things that happens in fight or flight. You're ready to fight, right? All of those things happen in a moment. But if I slammed on my brakes and I just went, glad I was paying attention, and just move on with your day, that's the difference that a breath makes. Because the first one, for the next several hours, all that stuff is coursing through your body. And those are the days where everything seems to go wrong. Everyone makes you mad. You knock your coffee off the desk. You lose your keys. You drop your phone and it cracks the screen. Everything seems, I'm having one of those days. I hate to tell you, you pretty much created that because that's the state you're in. But if I choose to sit back, take a breath, and then respond instead of react and not really care anymore, because that person wasn't like maliciously attacking me, right? They didn't plan to find me on the road that day and cut me off, right? It wasn't something that like, why do we get so mad about that? It wasn't intentional. Just go on with your day. You completely avoid all of those things happening, and all of a sudden your day is much smoother right off the bat. So we create so much of our own stress because we don't take a second to just sit back, take a breath, and be in a place where we can respond instead of react. That's a secret weapon, and it almost sounds too simple. It is. Just do it. Don't think about it. Don't question it. Don't second guess it. Don't doubt it. Just do it. Because if you do it, you'll see, oh, that works. That is simple. I can do that. And all of a sudden, instead of getting pulled into everyone else's chaos, you start to pull people into your calm. And everything starts to change. Calm is a superpower. No question.
And that's why she's the self-talk ninja, baby. That's right, indeed. She slid it in there like it's a DM, baby. That's right, indeed. Just slid it in there. So darn simple. That's right, indeed. Just a minor shift that you need. That extra second to really just sit back and just stop the tension for a bit and just relax yourself, indeed. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Well, two more questions. I'll let you make a run for it. So the fun question is, if your wonderful book, Get Off My Bus, if that book were a food, what would it be and why?
If it were a food, okay. If it were a food, I would say it would be a very mixed salad, because that book has a whole bunch of different things in it. It's not just one thing. It's written in a way where it's got a whole bunch of different things to look at differently in your life. So it would be something where you throw a little lettuce in, you throw some tomato in, you throw some olives in, you throw a little bit of cheese in, you throw a bunch of things in. So it's a little bit of a mishmash that's all condensed in one bowl. So I'd say it's some kind of weird salad.
Ah, there you go. That's right, indeed. Good thing we're past March now. It would have been a Caesar.
I'd see what you did there. Yeah.
That's right, indeed. That's how she made it through the gate, y'all. That's right, indeed. She's got a sense of humor.
You have to. You have to.
So, my goodness, so if you don't wake up tomorrow and you were 25 again, but you're still in the current year, what advice would you give to yourself?
Hmm. Keep trying things. You're never going to have it figured out. You're never going to have all your answers, and that's okay. Because if you had all the answers, you'd stop being curious. You'd stop learning. You'd stop trying things. Because keep trying things. If they don't work, it's not failure. You just learned something. You learned that didn't work, or that wasn't the time for it, or something like that. But just keep trying. There's no reason to stop if there are things you want to do, if there's something you believe in, if there's something you're passionate about. Just keep going and don't listen to other people. If somebody is not already doing something that you're wanting to do, or if they haven't already done it, their advice or opinion doesn't hold any water. So if you don't know because you've not done it, your opinion doesn't mean anything if I'm trying to do it because you have no experience with it. Go find the people who have already experienced the thing that you're trying to do. Those are the people who will bring you so much value and can give you advice and suggestions and let you think about things. What don't you need to think about? What do you need to think about? Those are the people to go find. So try things, take opinions and advice and suggestions from the right people. And the best piece of advice I ever heard was stop taking all the advice. Just stop taking everyone's advice because everyone thinks they know everything and most people know nothing about what your journey is right then. Go find the people that do and just keep trying because then you'll know. Doesn't matter what other people know. You'll know. And that's how you get ahead in anything.
I will say that's probably one of the best answers to that question I had in a while. From my perspective, it's like, hey, stop taking everybody else's advice. It's so true. It's like, hey, stop eating off everybody's tables. Everybody ain't cooking the same food here. You might wake up tomorrow with your face blue and a missing hand.
Right. And if you take everyone's advice, guess what? You end up looking, if you do what everyone else is doing, you end up looking like and sounding like everyone else. Good luck standing out. That's the opposite way to do it. It might be the comfortable way to do it, but it's the opposite way to do it if you actually want to succeed. I don't want to look and sound like everyone else. I want to bring me to the mix, and the people that resonates with are going to go, thank you, that sounds different. Thank you.
Heck yeah. That's right, indeed. Bring me to the mix. Bring you to the mix, y'all. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. So, for those who need to bring me, aka themselves, to Robin and all the wonderful stuff that they're doing in Robin's world, what's the best way for folks to do so?
Yeah, I appreciate it, Dom. I'm on LinkedIn regularly, so you can always send me a message or follow me. I'm always sharing a lot of stuff on LinkedIn, little videos and articles and tips and tools and stuff, just little things one at a time that, again, help you be less stressed and more confident. I also have a website, robinjsachs.com. If you're looking for a coach, for a speaker, any of those types of things, you can connect with me there as well. Lots of free videos, articles, and stuff, again, with tools and tips on there. So feel free to visit that and get inspired, get motivated.
Woohoo! Well, there you have it, folks. There you have it. Reach out to the Radiant Robin herself on the LinkedIn, y'all. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Tell you like what the heck she's doing because she's doing some good stuff in the world. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed, because it's good stuff. That's right, indeed. It's good with more O's from a Cheerios box. It's really good. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. So, my goodness, any parting words before I close up shop?
Parting words. Just be you. Stop trying to be other people. Just be you. You are your superpower because it's the only thing nobody else can be. So don't ever doubt that or question it.
If you're hearing this part of the episode, that means you're one cool individual. Thanks a bunch for tuning in, and if you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to share it with at least one other person in your network. Bonus points for 3. And be sure to check out the backlog too while you're at it, because there are hundreds of wonderful episodes to choose from as well.